We are less than a month away from the 2024 NFL Draft getting underway, which means it is Giants mock draft season. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. In today's video, we are going to react to the 7-round mock draft that ESPN just put out. It was Matt Miller who went through all 7 rounds. Let's dive into it. Number 1 overall, he had the Chicago Bears taking Caleb Williams. At this point, I think it is all but official that Williams will be the number 1 pick, and he will be the quarterback for Chicago. Number 2 overall, I've been thinking that this is going to be the result, and it's starting to feel like that. Brian Kelly, the coach of LSU at Jayden Daniels Pro Day, pretty much said, I can't wait to can't wait to watch and see him play for Washington. So I think Daniels is going to go number 2 overall. So then you got the New England Patriots on the clock. Check that. There is a trade in this mock draft, according to Matt Miller, and this is what it is. The Minnesota Vikings, who traded for pick number 23 from the Houston Texans, move up to number 3. They package their number 11 pick, their 23rd pick in this draft, as well as a 2025 first-round pick to get to number 3 to probably draft a quarterback. And this is my thing. If there is a team that moves up to 3, if pick number 3 is on the trade block and it's available to be traded for, the Giants should be doing everything they can to go move up. You should not be outpriced by the Vikings. The Vikings should not be able to offer you more. They got 2 first-round picks, but would you rather fall back to 11 if you're New England, or would you rather fall back to 6 to still potentially get Maliik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr.? If there's any team that moves up to number 3, the Giants should be that team. And they should go and select Drake Maye, just like the Minnesota Vikings do in this ESPN mock draft. Maye is my QB2. I have him right behind Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be a stud. I think what he does well translates to the league. When you talk about in between the numbers, and even more so in between the hashes, I don't think there's any quarterback that throws it better than him. And I think he fits perfectly with what Brian Daboll wants to do. I think he's going to be a stud. And if you can get to 3, if that pick's available, you should not let the Vikings pay more. You should go get it because he's a franchise quarterback. We have another trade at pick number 4. The Arizona Cardinals are supposed to be picking number 4, but according to ESPN, they have the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton leapfrogging the Chargers and the Giants. The Cardinals are trading their 4th pick to the Broncos, and the Broncos are setting up pick 12 and a first-round pick in 2025 and 2026. And with the 4th pick, the Denver Broncos are going to select quarterback out of Michigan, J.J. McCarthy. I'm really starting to believe that the NFL draft is going to go quarterback. And let's say that the Patriots stick and pick at 3 and they take Drake Maye. I still believe the Vikings are going to be calling the phone of the Arizona Cardinals trying to get to number 4 overall. So then the Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock, and Harbaugh, according to ESPN, is going to select Marvin Harrison Jr. To be honest with you, I don't think they are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. The way I have heard, and maybe it's just a smokescreen by Harbaugh, and I know he's done this a time or two, I think he's going to take Joe Alt, or maybe a guy like Brock Bowers. Harbaugh's going to Harbaugh. There is that. But if the top 4 goes QB, I'm trading up to number 5 if I'm the Giants, because I believe there is a Hall of Fame player still on the board in Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe he's this draft class's best receiver. I think he's the best receiver prospect in a long, long time. And I believe he's going to walk into this league and be a stud, potentially an all-pro his rookie year. And I think he's got an NFL career that's going to get him in Canton one day. So I would trade up to 5 to go get him. But that's another conversation for another day. My question to you is this. With the Giants on the clock at pick number 6, and if it unrolled like this, Williams, Daniels, Drake Maye, J.J. McCarthy, or Marvin Harrison Jr., if that's the top 5 picks and you're on the clock, who would you select in this position? Is it Rome Odunze? Is it Malik Neighbors? Is it Joe Alt? Do you trade back? What would you do in this spot if you were on the board? If I was the GM at this spot, I would select Malik Neighbors, and that is exactly what ESPN's Matt Miller did. With the 6th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, ESPN is mocking Malik Neighbors, wide receiver LSU, to the New York Football Giants. This is what Miller said about the pick. The Giants' offense ranked number 29 in offensive points last season, 14 per game. Yeesh. As quarterback Daniel Jones tore the ACL on his right knee, and the O-line surrendered 85 sacks, most in the league, second most all time. They have already improved the roster by signing linemen John Runyan and Jermaine Eluemunor, but the wide receiver room is a little thin. Neighbors has electric yards after catch speed and a diverse skill set that would work well in conjunction with Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson to give the Giants one of the fastest receiving cores in the league. His 120.7 yards per game led the nation, and his 3.7 yards per route run were second best among all FBS pass catchers. Malik Neighbors is a special player, ladies and gentlemen. Getting Malik Neighbors at number 6 is not some sort of consolation prize for the Giants. That would get an A-plus grade for me, and you would be getting the second best playmaker outside of the quarterback position in this class. The production, it speaks for itself in the last 2 years in the SEC for him. Look at what he did this year. Almost 90 grabs, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns, almost 18 yards per catch, 589 yards after the catch. A lot of people compare him to Odell Beckham Jr. He ran a faster 40 time than OBJ did at the LSU Pro Day. I'm just not sure he's got that start-stop ability that OBJ does, because I think that was maybe one of the best ever. His first step was different, but he is just as dynamic as OBJ, and I think he's actually a better deep route runner than Beckham. Doesn't have the crazy catch radius that OBJ does. I compare him to a faster, more athletic, more explosive Antonio Brown. I think he's special, weighted at 200 pounds. He's no small guy. He's going to be hard to tackle. There's a reason he forced 30 missed tackles last year, number 4 in the nation. He could take the top off, had 19 deep catches, number 2 in the nation, 624 deep yards, 3rd in the nation. And he's also really good in contested catch situations. He hauled in 10 of those, which was a really good number for a guy that's 6 foot, 200 pounds. Malik Neighbors to the Giants at pick number 6 would be an absolute home run. He gives you an elite weapon. The Giants need an elite weapon. Darius Slayton is a solid receiver. I think he's a wide receiver 3 on a winning team. I think Wan'Dale Robinson could be a good slot. I think Hyatt has a strong potential and a high ceiling, but they don't have that dog. They don't have that alpha. Neighbors gives you that. And overnight, he turns you into a much more explosive offense. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're going to be live for day 1 of the NFL Draft, and I want to see all of your beautiful faces there. So subscribe and turn the notifications on so you get free, informative, entertaining updates every day on Big Blue. We'll get to round 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in a second. But first, I got to give a huge shout-out to today's sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is the #1 ticketing app in the game. Check them out. Download the app and use the promo code ChatSports, and they will give you $20 off your first purchase. Check them out. You get the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. A lot of these ticketing apps have a whole bunch of hidden fees, and they're honestly not really user-friendly. And that's what I love about Game Time. It's easy, it's user-friendly, and I feel like I'm getting the best deals because you get the prices dropping as the events get closer, and it's the lowest price guaranteed. I also love that you get to have a view of the stadium or the concert stage from the app as you look at tickets you want to buy. Download it. It's more than just sporting events. You go to concert, theater events, comedy shows, and so much more. Download the Game Time app and use that promo code ChatSports for $20 off. So the Giants are back on the clock at pick number 47. And Matt Miller of ESPN, he has Michael Penix, quarterback out of Washington, falling to the second round, and he has him becoming a New York Football Giant. If you've been watching this channel for a while, I once had Penix as my QB3. I thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. Then I started to do more film, and he's kind of fallen down some draft boards, but now he's rising back up. And if Michael Penix is on the board at 47, yeah, I think he might just be a Giant. The Giants had a lot of people at Penix's Pro Day at Washington today. Brian Dable was there. Shea Tierney was there. A whole bunch of people. Miller said this about Penix. Penix has his issues on tape. His lower body mechanics, they need refining, and he struggles on the move. But as a pure passer from the pocket, no one in this class is better. If the Giants can protect him, then he could carve up defenses. Penix doesn't have the mobility that Coach Brian Dable seems to prefer, but his arm strength and accuracy are wow factors. In New York, they could use more options under center with Daniel Jones returning from a torn ACL. Michael Penix is my QB4 in this class. I have Caleb Williams 1, Drake Maye 2, Jayden Daniels 3, and Michael Penix 4. I'm a huge fan of Penix. There's a lot to like about his game. There's the reason that he threw for over 4,900 yards, 39 total touchdowns, had a completion percentage of 65, and threw just 11 picks last year, on top of doing damn near the same exact thing in 2022. But there's a reason that he's falling to the second round. So here's some things that I like and dislike about him. One, he throws an electric deep ball. He can spin it. He can flick it. He can let it fly. But he's 24 years old. He is my number one QB, though, in a clean pocket. When he has a clean pocket, he can hit his back foot, and he can fire it. I believe he throws one of the best balls, if not the best balls in this class. But he doesn't make plays outside the pocket. He's not someone when the play breaks down, he's going to scramble and make things happen. At least that's not what he's put on tape so far. But like I said, when he has a clean pocket, he could touch every blade of grass. I believe he is the number one QB in this class when it comes to throwing outside the numbers. I sometimes wonder how much that is skewed because he had dominant receivers like Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk on the outside. It's the injury risks that scare me. He has 2 shoulder injuries, has 2 ACL injuries, and that's why he's not going top 10. That's why he's going in the second round. But when you talk about arm talent, when you talk about being able to fit the ball in tight windows, go watch that game against Texas. That looked like C.J. Stroud's moment against Georgia. But then he kind of took a step back in the national championship. I worry a little bit that if he does not have a clean pocket, how much he's going to have success. And considering the Giants' offensive line has been somewhat awful for the last 10 years, it does concern me. I also worry about who's playing right tackle as he's a lefty quarterback. Interesting pick. And if he's on the clock at 47, I can see the Giants taking him. What do you think? Should they do it? Type Y for yes, type N for no. In the third round, ESPN has the Giants drafting Christian Hayes, the interior offensive lineman at a UConn. A lot of people think that he is the number one guard in this class. I actually don't think he's going to be on the board at pick number 70. I think he's going to go in the second round. But if you're able to get him in round 3, that's a home run pick as well. And the Giants, they still need to build the offensive line. I know you went out and signed John Runyan. I know you went out and signed Jermaine Eluemunor. You added Stenny. You added Schlottman as well as Nelson. But I still believe there is a need for a very talented offensive lineman, and that is exactly what Christian Hayes did. His numbers at the NFL Combine were awesome. People look at him as the best guard in this class. And the production speaks for himself. Pro Football Focus graded him out as an 80 overall, 83 pass block grade, an 80 run block grade. When it comes to his zone blocking, they gave him an 89.2, and he only allowed 1 sack last year for UConn. You can never have too many good offensive linemen. And let's say this. Evan Neal plays right tackle to start the season. He struggles. You kick Eluemunor to right tackle. And then maybe you have Christian Hayes starting at your right guard. He only plays right guard, at least he only did in college. And I don't know if Evan Neal wants to play guard. So I like this pick. You need to build those trenches even more. I also really like this pick. With the 107th pick in the 4th round, the New York Giants draft a running back. The running back. What movie? Marshon Lloyd at a USC. This guy is a home run hitter. He can take it the distance anytime he touches it. And he's not a little guy. Small in height at 5'9", but he's 220 pounds at the NFL Combine. 116 carries for 820 yards. That is 7.1 yards per touch. This guy is electricity in a bottle. He did it at South Carolina. He also did it at USC. He's also a dynamic receiving back. The only worry I have about him is some injuries. Only played 9 games in 2022. He's been nicked up a couple of times. I think Giants need to add more explosive playmakers to the offense. I actually like an offensive backfield of Devin Singletary and Marshon Lloyd. I'm not ready to give up on Eric Gray, but I just think Marshon Lloyd is a much better player. Getting him in the 4th round would be an absolute steal. I know our graphic said 210. He is 220 pounds. At least he was at the Combine. His playing weight was 210. Combine was 220. I'm sure he'll lose a little bit of weight and just try to beef up for that. The next pick, the Giants were on the clock at pick number 166, and they drafted the interior defensive lineman Tyler Davis out of Clemson. And this guy is just a beast. He's a good player. 6'2", 300-plus pounds, had 34 tackles last year, just half a sack. They need more guys in the trenches. I like obviously love Dexter Lawrence. I think Rakeem Nunez-Roach is a good depth piece. I believe in Jordan Riley and DJ Davidson, but they are relatively thin there. A'Shawn Robinson left. You're not bringing him back. Getting another guy that can play in the trenches and another guy that Andre Patterson can take and mold like a ball of clay is going to go a long way. I think he's the best teacher in the NFL at the D-line position. Tyler Davis, he could be a game wrecker, more known as a run stopper. Giants need another guy like that. After Dexter Lawrence, it's just question marks on this roster. With the last pick in this mock draft, ESPN has the Giants drafting Willie Drew. Willie Drew, cornerback out of Virginia State. Kind of a guy that a lot of people probably don't know that much about, but he had a really, really good, productive collegiate career at Virginia State. I believe he has over 11 interceptions over the past 2 years, a great number of pass breakups. He had 6 interceptions this past year. He tested really well. He's an athletic player, and the Giants, they need more help at that cornerback position. I would have liked to address it a little bit sooner. We'll talk about that in a second, though. But this was the entire mock draft that the ESPN people, Matt Miller, had for the Giants. Malik Neighbors going number 1. Michael Penix goes number 2. Christian Haynes goes in the 3rd round, followed by Marshon Lloyd, Tyler Davis, and Willie Drew. Let's grade this mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Get out your red pen. Let me know, what would you grade that draft if that were to happen? For me, I give it a B. I don't love it. There are things I do love about it. I think Neighbors is one of the best players in this draft, and I'll give it an A-plus pick if he goes number 6 overall. I think it's really good value of getting Michael Penix in round 2. I just would have attacked the corner position a little bit more, and you always want to stay true to BPA, but I think you want to factor in positional need. Right now, the Giants don't have a second corner that I trust guarding the boundary. I like Deonte Banks, but unless you're going to sign a veteran corner, who do you have playing outside? I like going out and get another interior offensive lineman. I like adding the interior defensive lineman as well. I also like Marshon Lloyd. I just wish they would have addressed the cornerback position a little bit earlier, but you're never going to fix every team need that you have in the NFL draft. That's why it sometimes takes a little bit longer in these rebuilds. Make sure you are following me over on social media. If you want to talk more about this mock draft, hit me up over there at @MarshallGreen_.